It's something so difficult for sophisticated, smart human beings to understand because they don't trust it. Those generator women that I sat with, thousands of them, and I'd say to them, "You want love?" And of course they do. And I'd say, "Well, wait for it to come to you." And they'd look at me like I'm crazy. You know? What do you mean? Even worse, when they were emotional generators, and I'd say, "Hey, wait for them to come to you, and when they come, send them away." You know, Prince Charming shows up and you send them away. What are you, nuts? You know, Prince Charming shows up, I give him my room. Because they don't trust. Not only don't they trust, they don't think of themselves as being worthy. Who's going to love you if you don't love yourself? Who are you going to love if you can't love yourself? Because if you don't love yourself, what is love? Think about what lovers normally ask each other who are unaware. Why do you love me? And why would you ask such a stupid question? I mean, what a dumb thing. What is it about me that you love? Because I don't know that thing in myself. I mean, I'm really surprised that somebody loves me. What is that thing that you love? And of course, the joke is that the other person is also not self. You know? They don't know what the hell is going on. This is just the measurement game. This is just becomes the ugly, ugly, ugly Maya story. I love you this much. Why don't you love me as much? See, if you're going to live your life.
This ugly game of comparison. It's so profound. It's basically what the mind does. It's talking about, I love you this much. Why don't you love me that much? It's this tit for tat, this give and take that is not equivalent exchange because it's too busy counting all the peanuts to actually participate in a positive oriented exchange. And so fundamentally, this is coming from a mind that has been reversed and flipped upside down. You see, as far as I can tell, there are three basic functions of the mind. One is to observe, the second is to measure and calculate, and the third is to communicate what has been observed, the measurements and the calculations, to the other being and other people. And that's basically the job of the thinking mind, summarized. Notice how nowhere within there is the function determine what the body, this mind is contained within, ought to do. There is no function of the mind within correctness for determining what the body will do. And that is the most fundamental and profound shift that transforms everything. You know, as generators, we're here to know ourselves. And when you know who you are, you're able to love yourself. Then what you're able to give to another is genuine and it's honest. When it's a mental survival program, basically we know that it's not honest. We know that it's dishonest because that was necessary in order to survive as humans and get this far. However, now we are here and now. We do not need to be dishonest. We can own our unique differences and go forward in a good way.
Life and you're going to be frustrated and you're going to end up expecting somebody else to get rid of your frustration. And when your frustration doesn't go away, you've got lots and lots and lots of things to blame. Oh, generators are the masters of the blame game. They're the great quitters in this life. See, it goes back to being an energy being. This is what you are. You're the pure force of life on this planet. I mean, you got to grasp that. If you don't grasp that, you don't understand what you're here for. You are the force. I mean, manifestors, projectors, reflectors, we are parasites. And I don't mean that in any kind of nasty way. You know? I surround myself with generators. Keeps me alive. You know, this is the life force. No escaping it. But think about what this life force is in reality, in this world, now. These enveloping auras, 4.5 billion generators on the planet. I mean, 4.5 billion generators. Well, you know, half of this planet is deeply deprived and unhappy. This is the generator's world. This is the world that we all live in. I walk in this ocean of generator conditioning. It's everywhere.
A little note again on that parasite quote, which I found so funny, is to see that in more of an enlightening perspective, to see the light within that joke, is to see that the generators are the workers. The generators, we are like the buzzing bees, the worker bees for Gaia, for Mother Earth, buzzing around, doing our work, doing this, doing that, buzz, 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 work, 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 until we're satisfied, and then we collapse and we allow rest. And so for the manifestors, projectors, and reflectors, they're not here to actually do physical work in the same way that generators are here for. You see, generators, we are generating and regenerating and sustaining the life force of the planet. The projectors, manifestors, and reflectors are here to help guide, essentially, to help manage that energy of these generators, and to help provide support and empowerment, and to share logical and abstract wisdom with these generators so that they can learn how to look back in on themselves and generate a field of satisfaction, because the world is so full of frustration which nobody wants to deal with. If the projectors, the manifestors, and the reflectors can give their wisdom to the generators in the precise and correct timing as per their own inner authority and type strategy, then we can witness the generators having more of an opportunity to step into their satisfaction. And if you happen to be a generator or a type, if you find yourself looking more inward, finding your satisfaction and existing within your satisfaction, then you're like a beacon, you're like a lighthouse, and you give the manifestor, the projector, and the reflector more of a chance to step into their power, because now there's a generator generating satisfaction, and the non-sacral types have the chance to step away from that sacral amplification and into their wisdom.
All these generators running around, doing things, deciding with their mind, making up their life story as they go along, putting out nothing but wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of frustration. You can smell it. See, when I take a generator into my body and I take that sacral frequency, sometimes it is so uncomfortable I can't stand it. It is literally such a disturbing frequency. It's like this magnificent motor that's never been tuned. Never. Instead of purring like a Ferrari, you know? Sounds like an Ibiza truck on a bad day. It's physical. See, for me, the whole generator world is a physical world. It's something that you can feel. I feel it. It's like a curtain around me. I mean, in my house, I have a generator-free zone. I do, I do, I do, I do. I have a generator-free zone, you know? It's a place where I can go and save my sacral, you know? And it doesn't matter whether they're nice generators or they're my children, or it doesn't matter what the hell it is, you know? This frequency, how powerful it is. And then you begin to think about what it means when this frequency is distorted. I think the most difficult thing for generators, because they have an enveloping aura, is that human design is so personal and is so much about them and nobody else. You know, this knowledge works one person at a time. It's my journey, you know. I walk along my way and I deliver my message and I just, you know, after that walk on. Because you don't know. Because there's nothing that I can do. You know, this is not a place where you take somebody by the hand and you guide them along. That era is over. I am not in the sheep business. I train wolves. I train people to be abnormal. This is my job. Not to be a sheep. Not to function in the way in which we have always functioned, which has brought us nothing but the misery we have on this plane. And I tell you, it pisses me off with generators because it's so damn simple. I think one of the confusions is that people really don't understand what human design is. Because there is so much information. And I don't think they get it. It's just about decision making. This is what this knowledge is about. It isn't about anything else. It's about knowing how to make a decision as yourself. Your mind makes not self decisions. This is not your inner authority. The only thing mind is good for is what I'm doing right now, outer authority. Each of us has a right to be a source of unique outer authority. That is our potential. See, what human design does is it says, look, we live on a material plane. We are the embodiment of the form principle. We have a form principle intelligence. Let's let the form principle intelligence run the vehicle. You know, it's the first thing you notice when you look at a human design chart. You see there are two calculations.
That right there is perhaps the most profound nugget of all human design, is how different it is from the conventional system that we've been raised into, that we've been born into. This notion of making up your mind, deciding for yourself, and then going out there and making it happen. At least here in America, that's the programming a lot of us have been given, which is kind of like Manifestor programming. And the difference is that it's no longer about the cognitive thinking, awareness, determining decision making. It's the fact that this body itself, made up of trillions or billions of cells, has a deep, deep, innate, natural, organic intelligence and wisdom. And by following the wisdom and intelligence of this body, this person within the body can experience a different life. And you know, on this notion of training wolves, not training sheep, it's very much how the change of the global eras is nearly upon us, and how we are leaving this cross of planning, this cross of become a gear in the machine and keep the wheels turning so that society keeps going. You know, this old game that has been happening for hundreds of years. What we're doing when we step into our inner authority is that we are transforming these gears into a brand new, unique shape that no longer fits into the old spoke and the old wheel in the same way. And so that's going off the beaten path into a unique individual path. And oh, I tell you what, it is mighty exciting.
It's about understanding that these two calculations represent two different kinds of cognitive potential. The cognitive potential of the personality, which manifests as mind, and the cognitive potential of the vehicle that runs these things. I mean, I worship at this temple. This is an incredible thing, this machine. I mean, very, very few human beings even have a tiny, tiny grasp of what it takes to keep one of these things functioning. The millions of things that are going on in this body at any given moment. And the illusion that human beings have that their mind runs their life when the mind is totally dependent on the brain. What are you going to do if I whack you in the head with a hammer? You think you're going to philosophize with me after that? I stick a couple of needles up your nose and give you a frontal lobotomy? And you think you're going to have a great conversation with me? You sure look like Buddha state, though, but the mind is a byproduct of the brain. It's sort of like gas. And you see the brain and how the brain functions, how the neurotransmitters are going to work, the way your lymphatic system is going to operate, the way your glands, your organs, your eyes, your nose, your life, everything, this is the thing. You see, I met all these people along my way in the New Age, and they have all kinds of nice, interesting, cutesy kind of stuff, that they've inherited over generations and generations. And then I try to explain to them that the personality is a passenger that just takes a ride in the vehicle. And they nod their head, sounds cute. And then they keep on making up their lives with their minds, as if the passenger could possibly drive the vehicle or know anything about the vehicle. Imagine what it would be like if you were like a dolphin and you'd have to remember to breathe. Because dolphins have to remember to breathe. Think about what it would be like if you had to remember how to breathe, how to use your muscles, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat. That you had to spend all your time thinking about how to make all of that work. See, it's time that we begin to respect this intelligence that runs these vehicles. And you see, the vehicle is here. This material form is here to be complete on this material plane. The mind is secondary. It's secondary. It's the pleasure of watching the movie. Oh, my mind loves to watch the movie. It's delicious. I can remember when I tried to write the script, and I was in one of these bad horror movies, it was not nice. See, it is the mind robs us of the one chance we have. We are living in extraordinary times. We have the mechanics. We understand how the vehicle works. We understand how this works. Mechanical strategies work. Well, they do. And what does it mean? On this form plane, we are all moving. Moving. It doesn't matter whether our minds can't grasp that. We are moving in space, and everything is about direction. Human design is full of the language of geometries, trajectories, fractals. We move along lines of geometry. And in that movement, our vehicles know where to go. Our vehicular intelligence knows where to go. It's the onboard computer, the onboard navigator. See, what we do is we interfere with perfection. We just get in the way of it. Because we think somehow that these minds really do, in fact, control these lives. And they don't.
The mind does not control the life, and it is so profound for the mind to consciously recognize and witness this fact with its own eye. To see for yourself that you are not the person who is determining every factor in your life. There are forces at work beyond your control that are actually at play. You know, there is this thing in human design called the magnetic monopole. It was theorized far before human design was around. And it's basically like a magnet, except for this magnet does not have a north and south. So it has no repelling force, in effect. This is a monopole. It only attracts. And it is only attracting on the vibratory scale of what is in either resonance or dissonance to your signature vibration. This magnetic monopole holds us together in our hologram of separation, and it moves us along our line of geometry in this vibratory universe. And you may have heard him talk about the vehicle and how the mind can pretend to be the driver. In truth, it is the magnetic monopole that functions as the driver of the vehicle, which is orchestrating this whole vibratory reality and this hologram of local reality. You know, all these senses: smell, taste, touch, see, hear. It's from the agency of the monopole that pulls it all together and captures it, in essence, into the sensorium of the experience that each one of us is having. So the mind is like this passenger who's allowed to be, hey, you're along for the ride. You're here to watch the movie, as Ra says. And when you're watching the movie through natural, organic, true self resonance, it's this delicious movie. However, when you're caught up in the dissonance or the harmonies, and those harmonies or the dissonance take over from the natural, organic resonance, then it can easily become that low-grade horror movie that is not so enjoyable.
If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.